I can say with confidence after seeing it that The Odyssey is one of those movies that only comes around every few years. And honestly, the fact that Christopher Nolan has had two movies that are put in that category in the past 3 years is absolutely insane because not only would I put Oppenheimer in that category, but he has done it again definitively with The Odyssey. And I am not surprised. Maybe some people are surprised, but there was a lot of discourse around this movie in general about the historical accuracy, the fact that people were casted as people they didn't, that people like the audience didn't think they should be cast as, and really there was just a lot of discourse about stuff that doesn't really matter, right? Especially the casting choices. I think Christopher Nolan made it very clear when he talked about it. I think it's pretty obvious, like he casted people who were good actors, right? And who he thought would fit the roles well. And he didn't do that based on looks or stereotypes or anything. I think that's perfectly okay to do, and I legitimately zero issues with it. But that's kind of the discourse. Nobody was like, "Oh, is this movie gonna be bad?" It was more like, "Oh, well, the historical accuracy is gonna be bad. The armor is bad. You know, ooh, the helmets are bad, or the weapons are bad, or they're not historically accurate, or nobody would say this thing." Nobody would say this thing, right? Again, like back in this time, right? So like, it's all just kind of nitpicky stuff that in the end doesn't really matter. The first and biggest thing that I appreciate about the Odyssey is the casting. I think this is absolutely knocked out of the park on every single level. First of all, Matt Damon, somebody who we know is a good actor, right? Like I have never denied that Matt Damon is a good actor, but this is certainly the biggest challenge he has faced as an actor, right? Coming into an absolute blockbuster directed by one of the best directors of all time, leading the film, completely had the pressure on his shoulders, and he stepped up and he delivered in an incredible way. He was fantastic as Odysseus in this movie. Just time and time again, I really just found myself impressed by him, and the way he was able to play the role and play it with emotion, play it just with power and a kind of a quiet power almost. Overall, really, really just good performance by him. But it's not just him. Like Anne Hathaway is phenomenal in this movie. She might be the best performance in the entire movie. Somebody who I was really surprised by, I think, with the most underrated performance in this movie is John Leguizamo. I just never really been the biggest fan of his. I think it's mostly his voice. He just has a very unique cadence and a very unique way of talking that is great for Sid the Sloth, but I don't really love it in general. But his performance in this movie is really good. Robert Pattinson does not get as much screen time as I was expecting, but he is just so good as like the slimy, arrogant jerk. He can play that role very well. We knew that he could play that kind of character very well, so that wasn't a surprise to me at all when he stepped up and just hit a home run in any scene he was in. I think Tom Holland is really the biggest outlier in the ensemble because, quite frankly, he's just overpowered in every single scene he's in. And that includes scenes where it's just him and one other person. Honestly, like it's not like he's getting outplayed just by Damon or Hathaway every single time in an ensemble. Like there are most of the scenes, if not all of them, his scene partners really just overpower him and completely outduel him on screen. This was not the leap that I was expecting him to take. Honestly, into being like a serious contending actor. Like this movie, especially coming into playing a role like Telemachus, or however you pronounce it. Especially a Christopher Nolan movie, it's a huge blockbuster. It's one of the biggest movies of the year, if not the biggest movie of the year. You think, oh, this could be Tom Holland's chance to take the step and take the leap into the upper echelon, or at least a higher tier of actors than he is currently in. And he just did not step up to the plate in that way. But Lupita Nyong'o is good in very limited screen time. John Bernthal is okay in very limited screen time. Like Benny Safdie barely says anything, but I think Benny Safdie just had his aura in this movie, and that's mostly just the costume. But the way he can stand and stare is pretty good. So he probably worked on that for a while. But everybody is really good in this movie, and so my biggest first positive is the casting, and that was one thing that people were really upset about. Sorry, especially the Helen of Troy casting, like with Lupita Nyong'o. Never had a problem with it, but that was one of the biggest ones people had a problem with, and I think she was great. And again, limited screen time. Zendaya's barely in it, but she's fine. Like, just a name on the billing for her, if I'm being honest. Like, she was fine. Like, nothing, didn't have a chance to be anything but fine, honestly, in this movie. So, and all the side characters were really good. Literally everybody in this movie is good. Like, everybody who has lines in this movie I thought was really good. I think this movie is visually stunning. I think that the way Nolan uses the camera and just the setting and the environment is just really, really good. It's shot just beautifully. I did not see it in IMAX. I plan to see it in IMAX my second go around. I just saw it in a normal theater for now, in 35 millimeter. But I loved every second of just the visuals and the setting and everything. So that was really cool. And kind of going on like the atmosphere of the movie. I think the sound design is really good. It's loud. It is a loud movie. It packs a punch. And I really like that, actually. It really immerses you in the world that the characters are in. It really puts you in the situation they're in, especially the one storm scene where this isn't just the sound design, but also just the lighting, with the lightning just flashing constantly when they're in the storm, and the noise is so loud. That scene just really just hits you over and over and over again in the face, and I did not hate it for a second. I thought it was absolutely awesome, and so I love the sound design. I think it's punchy, it's loud, it's intentional, and it really immerses you in the world that the characters are in and puts you right in the spot that they're in. And the soundtrack from Ludwig Göransson is also just insane. He did it with Oppenheimer. He's done it with Sinners, I believe. He is just the guy for this kind of stuff in Hollywood right now, and I'm so happy that he did the soundtrack for this movie because it is so him and it is so good. And so definitely the right call by Nolan to bring him in to do the soundtrack for this movie, because the soundtrack is good, the sound design is good, and like I said, visually just a stunning movie all around. So I think this is visually some of the best sequences we've seen from Christopher Nolan, period. This movie also gets the biggest compliment a long movie can get, and that's what doesn't feel long at all. It's 2 hours and 52 minutes. I think if I had not looked at my phone at all, or if my phone hadn't buzzed and I had like glanced at the time quick, like I wasn't on my phone at all during this movie, because it was never boring. Right, we'll talk about that in a second. But whenever I look at the time, right, I would just be surprised, right, because like, if I had not looked at the time at all during the movie, when the movie ended, I would have said it had been like an hour and a half, hour 45 probably, maybe 2 hours, but it had been almost 3, right? And so the movie just whizzes by a 3-hour runtime. It's just so fast-paced, so tightly paced, so rapid-fire, and it's just back to back to back, just constant plot points that you're interested in. It keeps you completely hooked throughout the entire film, does not let you relax for a second. I think that's really good because a lot of the times long movies can get into this thing where you really like the main plot, but then there's like the B or the subplot that runs underneath the main plot that really, every time you cut to it, you're like, ugh. But in this movie, whenever you're with Odysseus in the main plot, and whenever you're with Penelope, Telemachus, and all the suitors in the B plot, you're as hooked as you were, you're as invested as you were in the main plot. And so just kind of the way that they weave it into each other and they go back and forth is very interesting, very intriguing, keeps you hooked the entire time. And so you don't feel like it's a 3-hour movie, and I think that's a really important thing because movies can be as long as they want to be, but if you're bored, then that just sucks, right? You don't want to be bored during a movie, especially a 3-hour one, especially one with this kind of hype. You don't want it to be boring, and it's not boring. It's very, very, very quick, very fast-paced, very exciting. I think my biggest critique, if I had to give one, is probably the script. I know that people were being little weenies about the way that some of the words they use. That does come into play, but also the script itself is a little tepid. It's not like the most fantastic script in the world, especially for the time. I understand that it's a modernized version of the movie and of the story, and that's why I am fully not like I'm taking off any points for that. On my Letterboxd rating, I gave it a 5. I would not give it a 5 because of the script. But I think that's my biggest critique. I'm trying to think of critiques, and that's about the only one I'm going to give you in this video because honestly, I need to see it again, and B, I can't really think of some other ones because I think all the acting is great and the visuals are great and the soundtrack is great and whatever. Cinematography is fantastic. But the script, I do think, was a little, like, time where I was like, okay, like, I think we're getting a little bit out of the box as to what conversations actually looked like back then. And some of the wording they used obviously is very modernized, and that is okay, but also it is not a modern story, right? And so I would prefer that the script is a little bit more modern if it means the movie is more fast-paced and more energetic, and it's not as much long, lengthy, boring conversations that actually use the correct terminology or language or whatever it is. So honestly, that's about all I have for critiques. But I'm not putting that too much on Nolan. I think it's still a very well written film, and obviously he did just magic wonders with the camera. Like I said, I gave this movie a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It is my #1 movie of 2026. I do not see that changing. I believe Matt Damon should be firmly in the conversation, if not the leading frontrunner for the Oscar for Best Leading Actor. I think at the very least he is the 1B to Ryan Gosling's 1A. Those are the only two guys that I would even accept a conversation for Best Leading Actor at this point. Anne Hathaway could win an Oscar for this. The way I'll end this video is by saying how I ended my Letterboxd review and how I ended my TikTok review, my little quick TikTok recap of it. I think we are going to hear a lot about the Odyssey when the nominations come out for the Oscars, and I think we're going to hear a lot about the Odyssey when they're actually announced on stage in March. I think we're going to really be, I think some Oscars are already being set aside for the Odyssey. I would guarantee that, actually. It's going to be a huge fight. Project Hail Mary is wearing off a little bit because it's been a long time since that movie came out, especially with how many movies come out every month. Especially when we get into the summer of blockbusters. Obviously, we have the Odyssey just came out. We have a lot of movies coming out this fall and winter, like Digger, Digger, Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out in the summer, Avengers Doomsday and Dune both coming out on the same day. Like, movies that pop up in the beginning of the year that are really good tend to get forgotten about, but I do think Project Hail Mary will still be in the mix, but I honestly think there are some serious opportunities for the Christopher Nolan and the Odyssey to really just clean house in March. I would say that would be not surprising to me at all. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and do whatever you can to help grow the channel. Obviously, it's been a little bit since I posted a video on this channel. Been very busy, been away, so I'm going to get back into the grind on this channel and on Substack, so go follow me on Substack. That link will be in my bio. I'm writing articles about all the movies I see and articles about movie stuff in general. We will see you guys over there, and we will see you guys next time.